understand. You're a perfect man. Got the whole world in your hands, but you still reaching out for me. Ooh, wow, why you love me too?
What's up, beautiful people? Y'all already know what time it is. It's Bible talk time. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So last week we talked about David and talked about how he defeated Goliath. Yeah, if you didn't watch it, go back and watch that video. We're going to talk about David again today. We're going to talk about him when he became king. So this is when he's a little older and he becomes king. Now, David was a great man. He did a lot of great things while he was king. And he did some bad stuff too. And we're going to talk about one of the things that he did that wasn't really ideal for a king. So this story starts off with David. He is on the roof of his palace. You know, he's just checking out the scenery. And he looks over and he sees this lady bathing on her roof. So when he sees this lady, he's just like very startled. He thinks she's very beautiful. And he's just like, who that over there? So he sends someone to send for her, and he's just like, he wants to know more about this lady. And someone tells him, hey, oh, you mean her? Yeah, that's Bathsheba. She's married to Uriah. He's a soldier in the war right now. And yeah, that's who she is. And I think the word married just went in one ear and came out the other for David, because he was not thinking about that. He was just too busy trying to tell them, like, you know, she need to come on over here. He was on some
shawty swing my way, sure look good to me. Now would you please swing my way?
So they went over and they sent for her, and they like, yo, Bathsheba, you know, the king, he want to see you. So to make a long story short, Bathsheba, she comes to the palace, and her and King David, they sleep together. Now, as I continue this story, it's gonna really sound like something from a reality TV show, you know. So just get your popcorn and go get your tea, because this is going to be really juicy. So like I said, Bathsheba and King David, they sleep together, and some time goes by, and Bathsheba, she comes to the palace, and she's like, look, King David, you know, you done slept with me, and now I am pregnant with your baby. So at this point, King David, he's going in a frenzy. His anxiety is through the roof, because he's like, this woman is married. And back then, they didn't really play with that adultery thing, you know, like that, oh, I'm sleeping with somebody, but I'm married. They didn't play with that. So the fact that this lady is married now, David is just like, I got to find a way to figure this out. I got to find a way to fix this situation. So instead of going to God and, you know, confessing his sins, what he did, and, you know, having God help him, asking God for guidance, David doesn't do that. He takes matters into his own hands. So King David, at this point, he's like, where is Uriah at? If he's on the battlefield, pull him off the battlefield. He needs to come to the palace right now. So Uriah gets sent to the palace, and David has this wonderful feast for Uriah. And Uriah is like excited, okay? I mean, wouldn't you be excited to meet the king? Uriah is excited to just be in the king's presence, right? He has no idea why he's been called to the palace to enjoy this feast, but all he knows is he about to enjoy it. So David is with Uriah. They are chatting, laughing, they're eating, they are drinking, y'all. And King David makes sure the drinking part, oh, that's like the most thing. Like, he's trying to get Uriah like drunk, okay? So he gets Uriah drunk, and he's like, you know what? I'm very proud of you, Uriah. You've been doing your thing on the battlefield. I just called you here to just let you enjoy this meal. And, you know, you can just go home and make love to your wife. Because why? You deserve it. So that was the plan, y'all. King David thought that he would get Uriah drunk and send him home to make love to his wife. That way, all his troubles will be over, and Uriah will think that Bathsheba's baby is his. That plan came up very short, because Uriah was so honored to be in the presence of the king. Y'all, he didn't even go home. He was so drunk that he slept near the palace, y'all. He didn't even go home. When King David found out that Uriah didn't even go home and do what he told him to do, he's like, Uriah, why didn't you go home? Like, I gave you direct orders to go home, make love to your wife. Like, why are you still here? So Uriah just breaks it down for the king, and he's like, I'm gonna make it plain. I am so honored to just be in your presence. I don't know what I did to deserve this. I'm just so honored. I can't go home. Like, I just want to be in your presence. Plus, I have brothers that are in the battlefield right now, my fellow soldiers. They're my brothers, and they're out here and they're fighting for the country, and I'm here enjoying food, I just don't feel right. I don't feel right going home and making love to my wife and resting while my brothers are out there fighting. I need to be out there with them. So this plan that King David had, like I said, came up short because Uriah was just too honorable for that. So at this point, King David is just scratching his head. He's like, okay, I gotta find something else to do. I mean, this didn't work, that didn't work. So I gotta find something else to do. So King David says, you know what? Since you're so honorable and you don't want to go home and you want to be out there with your brothers fighting, I'm gonna let you go back to the battlefield. You can go ahead and go back, but I want to give you this letter, and I want you to take this letter to the commander and don't open it. Give it to the commander. So y'all, this letter that King David gives to Uriah to give to the commander Joab, it is direct orders from King David to have Uriah go to the battlefield and go to the front line of the battlefield. And King David gives Joab direct orders to withdraw from the fight. Joab does just that. He puts Uriah in the front of the battlefield. He tells everybody else to withdraw, and Uriah is killed in battle. Y'all, so at this point, David is not only an adulterer, but he is a murderer. Bathsheba, she gets the news that her husband has died, and she is given time to mourn, and she does that. She mourns her husband's death, but after some time, she gets over it. She moves into the palace, and she gets married to King David. Now, for the second time, y'all, David goes through a series of hardships because of this. Because he's hiding his sin, and he was trying to cover up his sin on top of the next to just make things worse for him. So he goes through a bunch of hardships and just a series of things that happens to him. And it wasn't until he solely confessed his sin to God, and he solely did not cover up his iniquities, and he just seeked God in everything that he did from that point on, that God started to show him favor, and God actually blessed him with another son, and his name was Solomon. Now, we'll talk about Solomon in another video as well. He has a great story too. David writes in Psalms 32 verse 5, "Then I acknowledged my sins to you and did not cover up my iniquities. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the guilt of my sin." Thing we could do for ourselves when we've committed sins or when we've done something wrong is to try and cover it up. When we try to cover up things that we've done wrong or correct our mistakes, a lot of times we end up in deeper or worse situations than we were in the first place. But if we confess our sins to God and we give it to Him, He will not only forgive us of our sins, but He will direct us in the right path and show us how to correct our wrongs. Nothing is ever too big or small for God to fix for you. We serve an all-knowing God anyway. So tell Him. Don't cover it up. Don't not tell Him, because He always has the best answer for you. All He wants is for you to come to Him, tell Him about it, trust that He's going to make it right. The Bible also tells us to cast all our cares on Him. Why? Simply because He cares for us. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.